Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting on July 2nd, 2013. And can we all rise for the pledge? Who's supposed to lead it?
I am.
Oh, okay. Supervisor Barrios.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion for a certificate of posting? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We have two items, I think, for open session. CEO Espinosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we have two items today, one on regular agenda, which will be the integrated waste management, and that will be given to us by Mandy Rose. And this is with regards to requesting direction from your board for the use of landfill rock at the John Smith Road landfill. Mandy?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This particular item is being brought to you because prior boards had established a policy that the landfill rock that we do excavate during construction of the modules out of the landfill be retained for public works purposes. What we've found at this juncture is that the rocks have sort of overwhelmed our ability to not only remove them from the landfill, but also the locations. And your Public Works Administrator, Steve Wittry, is here, who can speak more specifically if you have questions about where we have stockpiled rock thus far. But what we're requesting of you today is, if you so choose, the flexibility to make some other determinations with the rock when we need to, and we're finding ourselves in that place right now. I can tell you for a fact, if you come to landfill, we can show you the rock is in the way. They've actually had to move it 2 or 3 times because Public Works, as you know, is short-staffed. They're doing the best they can to try to move that rock, but we can't keep up. So what we've done is gotten a short-term contract to help us with removing the rock, but we also need help with where that rock is eventually going to go. So we're just here today to hear your comments on that and your direction, if we would be allowed to have some alternatives for disposing of the rock. And we have been approached, I've been approached, Steve's been approached by various contractors who would like to purchase it. So if that's something you're interested in, we could set up a process for that. We may be able to share with our fellow agencies. Water District comes to mind, City comes to mind, down at the sewer, things like that. So again, at your discretion, we'd like to hear from you.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, I think we should allow the staff to exercise best option that can produce biggest yield. And if it means selling it to the highest bidder, I'm all for it. If it means selling it to the highest bidder, I'm for it.
Okay. All right. Any Supervisor Barrios?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve, you were going to come up and give us a little bit of a scenario of where this rock has been going. I'm assuming that we've been using it for the river, San Benito River, in some areas, because I've seen some of it.
Yeah, what we're doing is we're actually stockpiling near river crossings. We also use some of that rock at Riverview Estates. We had some issues with off-roaders who were illegally accessing the river, so we put some down there adjacent to that residential area so that we would try to stop the four-wheel drive traffic from going down into the river basin. We are in the process right now of stockpiling near the 4th Street Bridge in that area down there. We have a fairly large stockpile near the Union Road Bridge. We have some on the South County bridges as well. Part of the contract that Mandy was talking about, this interim solution, is taking about another 60 to 70 loads of rock and putting more at the 4th Street Bridge, putting more within our own quarry across from the South Side offices. So we'll have enough right now. I think the biggest issue we have right now is as they are doing this expansion of a cell, they've hit a pocket of a lot of rock that's just overwhelmed our ability to get it out. And right now, we just can't keep up with it. Perhaps as they do it at different cells, they hit different layers of sand or things like that, we'll be able to better keep up with it. But right now, with just a plethora of rock down there that it's overwhelming us. It's overwhelming the job site. And in the short term right now, if we could actually have that moved by somebody else, and then we could keep up with it going into the future, it would probably be the best thing for us.
Okay, thank you. And I have to agree with Supervisor De La Cruz is that contractors are interested. They have the means and the equipment to come and pick it up. So I think that's probably the flexibility we need. So.
And then one thing just to add, wanted to get a picture of it, but our technology didn't work this morning to get it for you. Some of the rocks that are down there are actually too big for our staff to handle.
Yeah,
Some of
I
them are
figured as
about
much.
10 feet across, and they're just overwhelming for us. We don't have the appropriate equipment for that kind of stuff. So some of those rocks, it's going to be beneficial to have a contractor come in.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, I view the rock as being a tremendous asset, and county should have some on hand for emergencies. And I remember 97, or was it 98, that we were desperate for it, and it cost us a lot of money to get it. But one other option I wanted to throw out there, see if you explored it, was, okay, we have 4 on our list here: sell the rock to local contractors, determine if other public agencies want it, sell the rock out of county contractors. Personally, I sell the rock to whoever pays us the most. Whoever pays us the most. So, but what about, have you talked to maybe somebody like a Chapin or Granite Rock, or somebody that sells rock, that maybe they would just be interested in managing this and maybe working a kind of a partnership in the selling, them selling the rock for us and cutting some sort of deal? Have you looked into that? Or
You mean like a consignment such a situation?
well, because we're not experts in selling rock, how do we
Exactly.
put a value to it? And who's to do the selling and weighing and handling it and so forth? Maybe somebody that's already in the business could be a lot more effective
idea.
and
Right. We
get
haven't
the
really-
highest value.
We haven't talked to those firms that you've mentioned there. We have gotten a lot of interest from Bob N. Sr. regarding the rock, and Russell Enns regarding how they can do it for their business. It's the same kind of business that they do. One of the things that because the cells are excavated and different cells have different configuration just by the natural geology out there, it's hard to have a constant stream. I mean, we have a glut right now because they hit a big pocket of rocks. But in the next cell, maybe they hit a big pocket of sands or silts or something like that. It may not be that same. So we could certainly look into that and see if that would be something. But the problem may be the consistency, because when a Granite Rock is looking at something, they would want to have something on a monthly basis or quarterly
Right.
basis that they can move through. We have a glut right now because this one cell area has a lot of rock in it, but that may not be the case going into the next one. So we can look into it, though.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Any comments or questions from the public? If not, we'll, Mandy?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add one other thing. It is in your staff report, but for members of the public, we are on module number 4. We have 11 modules out there, so that, again, the public is aware there will be a lot more rock to come. So trying to solve our immediate problem does not mean we're for, taking away anything for the future. We will have more rock available to us.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just thinking right now, Mandy, those rocks, the weight of those rocks, would it add stress to the roads that we have right now,
I think that's a Steve question.
or that's just normal?
It's just it's hauling. The trucks are laden. They have to abide by the rules for hauling and so forth. Yes, trucks that come out of gravel areas do more damage to the roads than other vehicles. So yeah, there is that issue with moving rock a lot of times. So.
Because when Mandy said that it's at the 4th module of the other ones to come, I already could imagine someone coming up already and expressing concerns for that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, as you're well aware, is the capital projects list doesn't include work to John Smith Road to overlay, and we're in the process of doing that. So to help with some of that constant pressure that I know that you're all feeling regarding John Smith Road and the
Yeah.
condition of John Smith Road.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a direction the board would like to give?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we allow Public Works Department flexibility in determining the final use of the rock excavated from John Smith Road landfill, with encouragement of selling it to contractors.
Okay.
Second, can I add a word to your motion, Supervisor Barrios?
What is that?
At the end of your statement, to the highest possible bidder,
Yeah, I will add that.
and I'll amend my second to it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none. Move on to the next item.
Thank you.
Mandy?
Yes. Okay. Next item not always a favorite of anybody in your position, but we're holding a public hearing this morning to review our rates at John Smith Road landfill. As the board is aware, a subcommittee was appointed to review the COLA requests from our contract operator, Waste Connections, and then we brought back a couple weeks ago the proposal, which was a hybrid of taking some funds from reserves and raising some rates. So what is before you are the rates that are proposed to be raised. Again, for your information and information of the public, these rates were advertised twice in the freelance. They were posted up at the landfill. And it also is included in your packet the surrounding rates of neighboring landfills, and I think with the exception of Marina, which has subsidized rates, we are still under with our new rates of everyone else. So if the board has any questions other than that, I'd ask you to open the public hearing.
Any questions? Okay, any questions or comments from the public? Oops, I don't know why I pounded that. It just felt like it, I guess.
You're opening the public hearing.
I thought you had an extra walnut up there that you had to open.
What's that? Oh, yeah, I opened a public hearing with it.
Of course.
Thank you.
We knew that.
I didn't have enough coffee this morning.
Is there an instruction sheet that comes with that gavel?
Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Marty Richmond. From Hollister, I was looking over the new rate structure, and I'm sorry I hadn't done it when it was published in the freelance, but a lot of times my freelance doesn't show up even though I'm on the editorial board. And I was just, and I don't have the history. I understand the COLA issue because it's in the contract. I don't have the history of this. My curiosity is piqued by the fact that the pickup cars, vans, trailers, which are usually not commercial, I assume they're usually homeowners. They're getting a 20% rate increase. Maybe they didn't have a rate increase for several years. That's why I want to ask you to comment on that. Whereas most of the big folks here got 7% or 7.6% or something like that rate increase. So I'm just wondering why, because we want to encourage people who have house waste and want to take it to the landfill to take it and not say, I don't want to pay that money, I'll just throw it on the side of the road somewhere and we'll wind up picking it up anyway. So I'm just wondering why their charge is going from $10 to $12. And I would also accept a comment, if I could get one, about making sure that people who go through there who say they are not commercial or not commercial, somebody checks occasionally to make sure they're not bringing in commercial waste. So the 20% increase for people who are just bringing in stuff from the house, I think that's excessive. Because they have no one they can pass the cost on to, and they will be tempted to get rid of it some other way on occasion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to our staff, may answer that question.
Certainly. When the subcommittee reviewed the rates, we reviewed them keeping in mind which rates we had raised before and how much we had raised them. The particular rate that Mr. Richmond is talking about was $5 for, I think, 20 years, and in 2005 we raised it to 10, so it has not been raised since that time. So this is the first time, and I do know the subcommittee has stated here publicly that we are going to try to keep up with smaller raises into the future. I was thinking about this morning. It's one of those no good deed goes unpunished. We created the rate stabilization fund, but by doing so, we delayed implementing rate increases. So, you know, it is what it is.
And Mr. Chair, if I could, I just want to point out, and Mandy, we talked about this at the last, meeting, that if folks sort their waste, and they really will be saving a lot more money by doing so.
Right.
So this gives people an opportunity to save them on their own without having to take it in there and paying huge amounts per load.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, we'll have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we adopt resolution number 2013-50 and revising the rate schedule at the John Smith Road landfill to take effect immediately.
I have a motion. I have a
Second?
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We have one closed session item.
Thank you.
And County Council.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Board of Supervisors will now adjourn into closed session to discuss agenda item number 3 on today's agenda. The agenda is the public employee appointment for the Assistant County Administrative Officer, and the authority for this is California Government Code, Section 54957.
Okay. Is there any public comment on the closed session item? Former Supervisor Lowe.
Good morning. I can't come to a meeting without saying something, so I have many questions on this item. How does this item qualify for a backroom discussion? I have concerns about this item. I don't believe it follows your county personnel rules. How has the vacancy been posted? How many employees were given a chance to apply for this vacancy? How many employees qualify? Why is the board meeting in the back room to fill a position that answers to the CAO and not the Board of Supervisors? Why are you rushing to make this appointment? What is the urgency? Will the new CAO be informed before you hire them that this appointment was made? How can the board make this appointment and not be guilty of micromanaging? These were the questions I had when I saw the agenda item. Today, my concerns are quite different. After a call to HR yesterday to ask about the posting requirements, I was told both County Council and the acting CAO said that if I had any concerns, I should come to this meeting and express them. Of course, that answer to a simple question raised a much bigger concern. What is happening and why is this being talked about in the back room? Why is an appointment being made by this board to fill a position that does not answer directly to the board? Why now? There is no urgency. Wait till after you hire the new CAO. That's the next item on your agenda. And when has government changed in San Benito County that a citizen can't get a simple answer to a basic question? San Benito County historically has had problems when you bring in a new CAO and have an assistant in place. It is extremely important that your CAO trusts and works well with their number 2. I would advise you from past experience, don't make this decision now. Wait for a new CAO. You are setting the second in command, your assistant, up for failure. And I'd hate to see that happen to anybody, to have them fail because we rushed a decision that doesn't have to be made. You're filling this position with one-time money. That's scary in itself. Please think about this. Thank you.
Thank you, former Supervisor Lowe. Anyone else want to comment?
Good morning again, Marty Richmond. I don't hold myself out as an expert on the Brown Act or anything involving it. I've been slapped down so many times here on the Brown Act I can't even count it. But I think the point made by Pat Lowe about hiring the assistant before you've officially hired the CAO makes a lot of sense. Okay. It does. It seems like it's upside down. And unless I read the thing wrong, I guess you're going to hire the CAO this afternoon in Technology Parkway. Okay, I guess I did read it wrong. Maybe it's a closed session or something for this afternoon session.
I'm going to clarify that
Thank
right
you.
now. We're be interviewing the final two
Oh,
candidates.
okay, I didn't understand that from the, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I did not understand that from the posting. I didn't see the word interview. Maybe I didn't read it well enough. I'm a little groggy this morning. Thank you. Then I think it's very important, because I do think that if you're the manager of a football team, I hate to use that analogy, everybody always brings it up, or a baseball team, or if you're the guy who runs the battalion, the second in command basically works for you and speaks for you, and it has to be absolutely copacetic with the way you operate and your philosophy, and you have to get along like just perfectly. That's essential. You cannot have any internal friction between the two. And the way you do that is you let the boss pick the second in command, or at least have the major input into who that's going to be. And that boss, the new CAO, may say, I could live with either one of these, if you have two candidates. I think that's really important. I think it's just a good management principle. I think if you were in the position of being the CAO, you would want to do it that way. You would not want to do it where you just had a brand new assistant hired, and now we're going to go out and find the boss. And the assistant will be presented as a fait accompli already in place. So I think that's good management, and I think that's the way to do it. I have to agree with Paolo. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else from public? Not, I'll close the public comment on this and make a statement, in fact, that we're not appointing anybody today. What we're doing is just still kind of the development of the position and what we're looking to do with that position. County Council, can you clarify some of the questions that was asked by the speakers, please?
So, as Supervisor Botello said, I think there's some misunderstanding at both the staff level and out in the community. The board is not appointing the assistant CAO today. If and when the board appoints the assistant CAO, that needs to be done in open session. So I expect that decision to happen sometime in July or August, or whenever it happens, it will be brought back in open session. Secondly, I'd like to apologize to former Supervisor Lowe, and in the future I would ask if there are questions that contact me directly. The question, the issue was brought forward to my attention by staff that's not even involved in the recruitment, and the question that got asked me was a little bit different than the ones that former Supervisor Lowe posed at the podium today. So again, I apologize for the misunderstanding. In the future, please feel free to contact me if you have an issue such as today. So what is the authority for the board to consider this in closed session today? Well, the first statutory authority is found in the government code at 54957. That's the Brown Act. And subsection B there says that the legislative body can meet in closed session to discuss the appointment of a public employee. Okay? So the first requisite requirement that's required under the Brown Act is that the board have the authority to appoint. And in this case, we go to our ordinance, our appointment ordinance, which is in the county code at 3.03.007 D, and in that section it says, all other department heads shall be appointed by the Board of Supervisors upon the recommendation of the CAO. So clearly, in our own ordinance, it's the board that has the authority to appoint department heads. Okay, so the next question then is the Assistant County Administrative Officer a department head position? And historically, the answer is yes. If you look at the job description for the Internal Services / Assistant County Administrative Officer that was previously held by Rich Inman for a number of years, and you look at the job description there, in the third paragraph it says, this position is an at-will department head position. I also note that in the San Benito County Department Head Salary Plan, which has been in existence for many, many years, the position of Internal Services / Assistant County Administrative Officer is also included in the department head schedule. So whatever the Assistant County CAO position historically has been and in the future will be at a department head position. So therefore, since it's the appointment of a department head, it seems to be well within the board's appointment authority and thus in compliance with the Brown Act. What we are seeking today from the board is direction to the Human Resources Department on the recruitment, on the continued recruitment for the assistant position. This is, again, not the appointment. That needs to be done in open session at a later date.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions from the board? If not, we'll adjourn to closed session. Oh, I guess it's appropriate. Come on, Ms. Lowe.
Be careful, Mr. Chair.
I know.
Thank you, County Council, for that clarification. But then it goes back to what was posted on your meeting agenda. It doesn't say what County Council just explained you're going to be talking about. It says public employee appointment. How does the public know? I looked at the agenda package. That is all it said on the agenda package, exactly what it said. What the public was informed that you were going to appoint somebody, not that you were talking about changes to an ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll adjourn to closed session.
No, I don't. Other computer.
Free my Levi's pants.
Okay, County Council, would you like to report out?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Board of Supervisors met in closed session today to discuss agenda item number 3 on today's agenda. The board met in closed session regarding the public employee appointment. The title is the Assistant County Administrative Officer. The authority to meet in this closed session is under California Government Code 54957. At this time, there is no reportable action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll entertain a motion to adjourn to 1 o'clock this afternoon to technology.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, thank you.